box inside that bigger box that encompasses the whole city. And inside that little tiny little pink box, it says war zone.
No,
Yeah.
dude, you got to be joking.
And then outside of the red circle, there's another circle, a little bit bigger, and it's in black, and it says near the ghetto, unsafe drug zone. And then a little bit further out from that, it says drug zone. And then way out from the city on the south side in blue, it says safe. Safe
Oh,
zone.
gee.
So,
Well, I'll tell
yeah.
you this. In order to have a ghetto and have a war zone,
You got to have
you
people.
have to have people. And there are people there. And like I said, probably maybe a third of the houses appear to possibly be occupied.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's startling. And let me tell you something else. Everybody, the recession has hit every city to a certain degree, and so everybody knows that when you're driving around in a business district, what it looks like to have a business that has been that has gone out of business, and you'll have a building that says available or for sale or whatever, right?
Right.
The startling thing about Youngstown is that there are giant areas, blocks of areas where there will be multiple businesses back to back to back, right next door to each other, that look like they've been abandoned, or I should say gone out of business, years ago. They don't even have an available sign on them anymore. They've given up. They don't even have an available sign. And there'll be, like I said, there'll be bushes or trees growing from between the foundation of these buildings and the sidewalk next to them.
Right.
And they're like 10 feet high. So you could tell they just haven't been recently out of business. We're talking a good solid couple of years that anything has been in business in these buildings.
Right.
And it's sad because there'll be like a restaurant. You could tell it's like probably a high-end restaurant.
Right.
And you could tell that they had nice landscaping around it at one time, because as people walk, they park their car and then they're walking in, and there'll be like a nice landscaping around this nice restaurant, like maybe like a 1-star or 2-star restaurant, whatever. And the landscaping looks like it hasn't been tended to in 5 years.
Right. I'm looking at a picture of a business on the corner, and it's all in brick. And it's on the corner, and the door faces the corner. So it's like one of those weird doors where you walk up. There's no angle to the building. The angle's been flattened, and there's a door. And there's a pole.
Uh-huh.
There's a pole where the sign would hang on in that bit. And there's nothing on but like a chain dangling. So there's no sign. And the entire side of the building is covered in vines that have overtaken the windows and the door. So how long does that take to happen? It's got to be at least 5 years.
So I think we've beat the heck out of the visualization of what Youngstown looks like. Meanwhile, so I'm driving through, and there's a street that's literally 1 block from the war zone abandoned dystopia that I drove through, right?
Right.
And this street actually looks a little nicer. The yard's a little bit bigger, and it appears as though most of the houses are actually occupied, if not all of them. And there'd be like hand-drawn signs stuck into the yards, these yard signs, but they're not like professional, signs that have been made by a company. These are like made by the homeowners. That'll say like, "Feel the burn."
Oh, wow.
Or Bernie 2016. And you're just like, do you not realize that you are voting for the very thing that has gutted out your city? It has effectively ended it for the time being.
Yeah, they're voting. What they're doing when they're saying "feel the burn," what they're really saying is that we have been absolutely decimated and burned hard, and we want to share that with you because we don't want it anymore. We don't. You
couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have said it better because what that is the very definition of communism, which is the spreading of poverty everywhere.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
And when you say that they want everybody else to feel burned like they did, that's it right there. So
somebody's got to sign out. Somebody's got to sign out in front of their house that says "Republicans for Bernie."
How is that even possible? Oh, is it a rhino?
It's got to be a troll.
Idiot.
It's got to be a troll.
Something. You know what it is? It's a Democrat that's like, I'm just going to make this sign.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Why not? Why not? It's so absurd. I bet somebody believes it. I bet somebody will believe it.
There are people. There's no ceiling to the things that people will believe.
Yes, yes. No, you're absolutely right. It's just, it kills me. So, hey, I was talking about the whole disruption and the rioting and the blocking off of the freeway in Arizona to get to the Trump rally. You heard about that, right?
Oh no, you got to fill me in. Well, I mean, if you already told everybody, just give me the super abbreviated version.
No, we were talking about how they blocked off the freeway to the Trump rally so that they couldn't get there. And a riot ensued and people with signs and banners. It was all pre-planned and pre-set up. And so everybody rioting, they had the Muslim flag and they had T-shirts.
What's a Muslim flag? You mean what is the Muslim flag? You mean the ISIS flag?
Yeah. No, not the ISIS flag. Not the ISIS
black
flag.
And white, the black and white ISIS flag.
Right. Well, they had flags they were flying that had Arabic writing on them.
If it's black and white, that's the ISIS flag.
Right. So anyway, so they had that, and then they had T-shirts on, white T-shirts with black marker on it that says support Muslim Americans and Muslim this and Muslim that. It was insanity is what it was. However, they said, there was an article I just read on Facebook that said people abandoned their cars and walked for miles to see Trump.
Well, and they should because they're blocked off. They can't get to where they need to get.
Right. So they abandoned their cars and walked. There was like a trail, like a trail of tears. There was a row of people who were really upset that he couldn't see Trump. So that's why I call it Trail of Tears. And so they were just walking by the hundreds, just started walking.
You know, and there's safety in numbers, so I highly recommend that that's what you do when you're faced with that situation.
Oh, yeah.
This unfortunate situation where the left or the right, who are against Trump, are trying to suppress our First Amendment right.
Correct. Absolutely. So,
I'm glad they're spinning it that way, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Seriously, you got to own the narrative because the reason why Democrats have been able to win so much for the past 15, 20 years is because they grab hold of the narrative. And what is it? The lies will circle halfway around the earth while the truth is putting its pants on.
Right.
That's kind of what happens when the left takes over the narrative and they own the narrative and they tell you that rioting is happening because Trump supporters are violent, when in reality, the truth is that the left is trying to prevent people from exercising their First Amendment rights by disrupting a rally, which is an expression of a First Amendment. When you're disrupting it or trying to get people to cancel it, then you're suppressing the First Amendment rights of those who want to hold that rally.
Absolutely.
So,
No.
And I'm glad, like Carson's come out, Ben Carson's come out, and he's stated that specifically in defense of Trump, and I'm glad because he got to get a hold of that narrative. So anyway, go ahead.
Right. No, and earlier we played a sound clip from Judge Jeanine, how she just she just blew up the GOP, saying that she doesn't. She it's just dumbfounded that they would try and attempt to stop the front runner of their party that the people are voting for. And then she went into the whole diatribe that they're afraid, they're scared that their gravy train will end. They're scared that the money that they get will end. And for those people that say, oh, well, I'll just vote for Clinton, I'm not going to vote for Trump, I'll just vote for Hillary. Those are the people that are on the gravy train. And there's no question about it, because why else would you vote for Clinton? Why would you vote?
And it could be an elite person, right? Well, no, I'll tell you why. Rush Limbaugh pointed this out, and, I'm glad that he did my thinking for me, because I don't know how long it would have taken me to finally hash this out. But elite Republican politicians, the ones that are currently in office now, are willing to do what's necessary to get Clinton elected president over Trump, because, and I'm like, why would they do that? Because it's not about ideology. They have a better chance of keeping their own power under Clinton, because he pointed out that everybody needs an enemy. Every movement needs an enemy. And we pointed that out in one of our episodes that, like America and capitalism did well in America because of the Soviet Union, because you had that stark contrast. They were able to make the Soviet Union the enemy.
Right.
And so it made it easier for people to jump on the side of capitalism. That make sense?
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I said earlier in the show that it seems like right now, and there's articles that are out there all over the internet begging Ted Cruz to get out, because what he's doing right now is ruining it and giving it to the establishment, which will then give it to Hillary. So,
well, like I said, the rhinos who want to, and I'm talking about low-level politicians like your, like your governors and your state-level senators, and even the Congress and the federal Congress. They're able to keep their power easier if they can make some Democrat like a Clinton, a president, Hillary Clinton, the enemy with which to fight against. So, yeah, right. They would rather have Clinton.
Right, and so my whole point of that was that by the GOP hating on Trump and hating on Cruz and saying that they're going to go with the establishment elite, with the Clintons, with whatever, that is starting to affect just the average voter who may not have interest, and all of a sudden Trump's enemy becomes them, because they created that. They created that enemy, that whole hate between the two.
I like that.
So now Trump has
thought process.
Yeah, so Trump now has an enemy that he didn't make. They made themselves the enemy. They called themselves the enemy.
Oh, yeah, Trump totally would have been fine if they treated him like your normal average front runner.
He's been calling for it.
All right.
He's been calling for them to unite.
And they're just like, no, because we don't want you.
Right. Our gravy train. So this is something we talked about before. We talked about The Secret. Whatever you think about, good or bad, comes about. It's just what happens.
Right.
And so the establishment elite is so focused. Dude, they can't stop. They cannot help themselves. They're so focused on Trump.
They're no longer thinking. They're not even thinking clearly anymore.
Correct.
And the idea, the changing of their brain to start to look at the Trump presidency as, okay, it's a fait accompli, but also think about, okay, so what's the best way going forward as far as how, if it's all about their own personal power, they need to start thinking in terms of how can I best like how can my career do better